We're here with Patrick Duffy. Patrick, this is one of the most interesting films I've seen at the festival.
Ah, yes.
How did they contact you? How did this whole Hotel Dallas thing come about?
I'll give you the real quick prelude to this whole thing. When Dallas was huge in the early 80s, Romania was still behind the Iron Curtain. And Ceausescu, who is the, whatever you called him, the president of Romania, whatever, thought that he could cement his people into loving communism by showing them the decadence of the West. And he allowed one television show to be shown on communist television, on the government television station there, and it was Dallas. And contrary to what he thought would happen, the entire population saw for the first time there was a world out there and they wanted to be a part of it. So it literally, and the second part of this story is to verify it, it literally helped bring down the government there and the wall and free the Romanian people, okay? So about 2.5 years ago, I'm at the Correspondents' Dinner in Washington, D.C., and my son and I are there. And this man comes up, and he's the ambassador from Romania. And he's got his wife with him, and he's got tears in his eyes. And he comes up to me and he shakes my hand and he said, "I just have to tell you how much you mean to the Romanian people." And he told me this story about Romania coming down because of everybody being fixated on the television show Dallas. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. Last year, I was at Monte Carlo at a television festival, and the ambassador from Romania there came up with his wife, tears in his eyes, told me the same story, and took his ambassador's pin off his lapel and pinned it on me, shook my hand, and thanked me again. Wow. About 2 months later, my manager gets this query from Livia saying, "We made this film called Hotel Dallas. Would Mr. Duffy be able to watch it and maybe write an endorsement of what a wonderful film?" And da-da-da-da-da. And so I looked at it, and I, like you, I went, "What the hell?" But I was intrigued, beyond intrigued, because I had a personal relationship. But then I gave it to both my sons. I have a 42-year-old and a 37-year-old son. I sent it to them right away because I don't know anything about the modern world. And I said, "What do you guys think?" And they got right back to me. They said, "This is fantastic. This film, these people, whoever made this, have a vision. They're artists. You need to be involved in this. You need to get out of the 80s, basically." And they said, "Do whatever you want to do with it, but yeah, you should do something." So I contacted them, and instead of endorsing it, I said, "Well, listen, I'll do off-camera dialogue for you or whatever it is you want." And I flew to LA, and we did a whole recording session. And then Livia, at the end of the recording session, gave me this little box. I opened it up, and it was a medal with a little pin and everything for a thing. And it was the medal she was given by the communist government when she was like a 6-year-old little girl in their little military uniforms they all had to wear. And I believe the story is that they all had to collect tin cans and stuff and turn them in. And if they were good little soldier students, they were given this pin that they all wore very proudly because they'd done their job. And she gave me that pin for helping with the show. So there's a connection to this project that has so many facets for me. And one of them is the relevance of Dallas as a subject matter, not as a television show, but as a pliable substance that can be molded to represent things for people. And if I think about it, it's the same way that a fan on the street responds to me or anybody else on the show when they see them, is they have an entire personal history that, we were on the air for 13 years then, 3 years now, so there's 16 years of inundation in these people's lives of this family and this fictional system. But it means something very, very particular to each person. I get stories of my grandfather would watch this show with me, and he's now dead, but he would, and there was one girl today at the studio took a picture and then said, "Grandpa, see, I have a picture with Bobby." And it's that kind of personal connection that to me takes this out of the realm of celebritydom. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
Yeah,
it is now.
Yeah.
I think it is. It'll be on the list tomorrow.
If Bobby says so,
If Bobby says so. But I mean, there's a mythology that people incorporate into their personal lives. And when I saw what Livia did and the subject matter and how she treated it, and then those young students, those little kids reenacting the death of Bobby in this way, it was mesmerizing to me. And that to me is the art form. It's not just filmmaking. It's taking a material like clay, just this glob of crap, which is Dallas basically, very good glob of crap, but it's just this glob. And then depending on who the person is, they mold it into something relevant to their whole history. And for her, her history is so deeply embedded in the subject matter that when I saw this, I couldn't imagine compiling a thing like she did, like they both did. I say her because I can't pronounce his name, but it was very relevant for me to be involved in this, which is why I'm here too. I don't do these things, but this is important.
I'm kind of curious then, because you are here. The connection to Dallas, it's full circle, I guess. This moment.
It is. Well, it is. This is just another. It's like a charm bracelet. I just thought of that. It's like Dallas is this for me as a career, because it really was fundamental to my career, is the big chain on my wrist, on which are all these relationship charms that keep getting added to it. People that I see, stories like I would hear about the grandpa, but then somebody making an entire project out of it. And, I get presented with this. I have a copy of that film, and it's like another element. I'm the opposite of people who say, don't talk to me about Dallas. I'm not Bobby Ewing anymore. I'm not the Fonz, all of that kind of crap. No, I think, wow, just keep it coming. I feel more justified in doing this role as the years go by.
As the years go by, you've jumped back maybe into the director's chair. Major Crimes recently.
Yeah. He did his homework.
I'm kind of curious, what's it like for you upcoming in that sense? What are you hoping to do? Because you directed all those episodes of Step by Step way back in the day.
I directed
as well.
50 of those. I directed 30 Dallases. The interesting thing about Major Crimes, it was the first time I directed something I wasn't in. I directed 80 episodes, and I was in every one of them until this one, which was very interesting because I didn't have the elongated history of knowing the different venues of actors' brains and how they work and what they accept and what they don't accept. And, it's like, this is going to sound so terrible. It's like training animals, but in the sense that every animal has a different response to the very same command is not the right word, but the very same instruction. I have dogs on my ranch, and I can't talk to both dogs the same way because they literally react differently. And when you're on a show 5 days a week for years on end, you know everybody the same way you know yourself. And so directing them, I think if you have the right headset, is an easy process because you're working with somebody who's a part of your life. When you're directing somebody that you met the first time last week, it's thin ice you're walking on all the time, which I thought was the most exhilarating part of the experience, directing Major Crimes, is I couldn't rely on my bag of tricks, and I couldn't rely on being the big dog on the set. The young kids, Graham on Major Crimes, essentially, I know he's not because he's a wonderful young man, but he could give a shit that I was on Dallas for 13 years, prior to that. He's doing his job, and he's a star of a television show, and I needed to give him all of that respect before I asked him to do something, because otherwise I'm just a dick. You know what I mean? So it was, to me, and I owe this to Mike Robin, who was our executive producer on Dallas and who was also exec on Major Crimes, that after I directed the new Dallas, he asked me if I wanted to come and direct. And so I knew I had his confidence, and I did not want to do a single thing to derail that at all. And it was a great experience. And in theory, I'm going to go back and do more of this new season.
So cool, very cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. I love directing. Directing is so satisfying all the time. If you set up a shot of a coffee cup, you can take a little time and going, raise the camera a little bit down there. Ooh, I like the way. So everything is satisfying. Every single thing about directing is satisfying. A lot of, I would say in 13 years of Dallas, there's probably a year and a half that was even when I was on camera, because it's literally you get out of the car and you go in the door. Okay, I think I can get that in one take. Okay, and I did. Can I go to my trailer now? But when you're a director, you're going, oh, if he gets out of the car, what if we put the camera? You know what I mean? It's just satisfying in total. So I hope to do a lot more of that.
You know, Dallas was always known for the landscape of the show, but you grew up in like the real landscape of the country in the, you know, Washington, Oregon,
and Montana.
Yeah, like
yeah.
Was it kind of funny looking at Dallas on screen and being like, well, that's not really how the little rolling hills are?
Yeah, well, we made Dallas what it wasn't, essentially. You know, and the prime example is everybody who goes to South Fork comes back and goes, really? That's big South Fork? You put all those rooms in that tiny little house? You go, yeah, well, that's television. Thank you very much. But yeah, it's not the big, vast, what was the big Dallas show? The movie with Elizabeth Taylor and James Dean.
Giant,
yeah, which is basically our show, was based on that, you know, that concept. And that show was shot with, you know, I think it was 70 millimeter, and it was just wide and vast, and it was shot out there and wherever it was shot. And that house was up on a hill like the Psycho Hotel, you know, it was just all by itself out there. So it was a little different to shoot Dallas, but we were in a different format in television too. You know, so now when we did the new Dallas, that was Mike Robbins, because he was the director and really the establisher of the footprint on which the other episodes would be shot. He knew Dallas was a close-up show. Dallas is as a system of photography, it's close-ups. But Dallas and Texas as a concept is vast. So it fit with his idea to shoot in this letterbox format and to get as much horizontal spectacle and then do close-up drama in it, which is what we tried to do all the time on the show. And it worked, I think, very well. He made a nice marriage of those concepts. But yeah, when you go to Montana, my wife, when we had only known each other 2 months, she's a New York ballerina, I'm from Montana, and she came to visit my folks. And I was already there, and she flew in, and she got off the plane, and she looked around, and she's told me this story. She said, I looked around, I went, oh, that's why he is like he is. You know, because she had never seen that scope that just is almost like looking at the ocean. The horizon, when they say it's the big sky country, Montana has that moniker that they put on their license plates, but it has that sense that it's bigger, not like Texas says it's bigger, but there is a dome of existence around Montana that just goes forever. And it does affect you, you know. It does establish the sort of tempo of how you lead your life internally, the internal tempo. And she never got that about me until she stepped off the plane, because she's a New Yorker. You know, we'd hit the streets of New York, and I go, wait up! Where are you going? Boom, 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 and they're going. And she got off the plane, and she was in Montana, and it makes a difference.
When can we do like the Patrick Duffy show, like wilderness show, where we go out there into the ranch?
Survivor?
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, as long as I have a key to the Ramada Inn, I'll do it.
Perfect. Well, Patrick, thank you so much.
I have a lot more to talk about me.
Of course, yeah, if you want to.
I'm kidding.
No, it has been a pleasure, and it's always so great to have Bobby back in town.
Yeah, it's great for Bobby to come home, too, I must say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patrick.
Pleasure.